Yes, I'm Caitlyn Meyers, Director of Finance and Operations at Catalyst Partners.
Awesome. And thank you so much, Caitlin, for joining me today. And happy B Corp month to Catalyst Partners. What originally motivated Catalyst Partners to pursue B Corp certification? And how has that decision shaped your mission and culture today?
Yeah, this was a decision that was made long before my time because we were one of the firsts, I think, in Michigan. It's either 2014, maybe. I think it was when we were officially certified the first time. And so this was a decision by Keith Wynn, the founder, along with a couple of other employees at the time, helped go through that first iteration. And part of the decision was to just be more transparent and accountable in the practices that we have, to say like, hey, we really want to be doing right by our employees. And at that time, and even before then, our employees were maybe 10 people. And so it was really easy to say like, hey, what do you want? Cool, we'll give that to you. And then as we grew, we realized, okay, we need to have more formalized structure, and we need to make sure that we are measuring up to the type of company that we want to be, and making sure that it is sustainable long-term, rather than just giving raises based on how profitable we were in this year alone, and then being caught 2 years down the line, not being profitable enough to cover how many raises we gave just because of this one, really good year. And that was something that we were running into. So now we have a much more transparent and objective compensation structure that is very easy to look at this calculator and say, this is your seniority, this is your position, this is how the years of experience, and then you can, based on the labor census data that we have available to us, can have a salary that matches where you are at, and it's not tied to your performance. It's not tied to the profitability of the company. It's not tied to anything like that. So that was one way that we can make things much more transparent and accountable, which was the whole point of us getting the certification. And we just continue to do that. In 2025, we put out our first impact report, which we used based on the B impact assessment, since we had just gone through that renewal process. And it was a really cool way for us not only to be accountable to our employees, but to be accountable to our community and our stakeholders in like our clients and our partners, to say this is where we were, this is where we are now, and this is where we're going. And here are some of the goals that we have set for ourselves.
And I find this to be valuable, especially in an employee ownership model. That transparency is hand in hand with accountability, right? You're able to really see this is where the business has been, but like you said, this is where we're going to continue to grow. And again, I feel like that really makes people feel way more invested into the long-standing impact that the organization is going to have on the communities we exist in. Why does working at a certified B Corp matter to you?
Yeah, no, this is a great question. I started at Catalyst almost 5 years ago at this point and had never heard of B Corps before. So jumping in and learning about what it means to be a B Corp and going through the process of our renewal taught me so much about the accountability and transparency that is required of B Corps. It is a rigorous process, even though we've been doing it for over a decade now. And it's been so meaningful to show that we don't just preach all of the things that we say about being a good company or a just company or a sustainable company. We actually practice that in getting these certifications. And in B Corp is just one of the many certifications that we have at Catalyst Partners. Another great thing about Catalyst is that we are employee owned. So 2.5 years ago now, I was able to join the other members of Catalyst as an employee owner. And just knowing through that my company, whether just being good for people and good for planet being the most important piece, it is also good for profitability and financial longevity to have these metrics in place and to be able to stick to this standard, because it's proven that being a sustainable business is going to be helpful in the long term.
That's incredible, and congratulations on hitting 2 years on being employee owned. What a great commitment for your team members to really get involved, because I feel like there's a little bit more ownership in that, a meaning of how you really direct the ship of the entire business, right? I feel like people have a little bit more of a voice and a say, more on a democratic level as to how Catalyst Partners can operate, as well as where can that industry grow too. How has using the B Impact Assessment influenced concrete changes in your operations, such as governance, workers, community, or environmental practices?
Yeah, as part of our 5-year vision at Catalyst, we made it one of our goals to increase our scores year over year, both for the JUST label that we use and for the B impact assessment. This past year, I think it was 2025, early 2025, we officially got our renewal back and have increased our scores to the highest it has ever been, which is 137.3 points, with 80 points being the minimum to certify as a B Corp. So we were very proud of that. And through working on increasing this score, we have added a lot of different benefits specifically for our employees. It's something that we continue to survey our employees on and ask what they would like to see. Some of the things we've added over the last 2 years include employer paid long-term disability, vision, dental. We also added a winter wellness break that gives employees time off between Christmas and New Year's to spend time with their families, and it doesn't use any of their PTO or holiday time. We also expanded our parental leave to be non-gendered. So it doesn't matter who the birth-giving parent is. It's all equal time off for everybody, no matter if they are having a baby through birth, adoption, surrogacy, foster. It's all the same, so that we can kind of be more equitable about our parental leave and giving all parents the opportunity to bond with their children. And then we also have volunteer hours, which we increased to 24 hours per full-time employee to help our employees get out in their own communities, since we are a mostly remote workforce, and use that time that is beneficial to the community that they live in, and it's not dictated really by what Catalyst would tell them to do. So those are the main things that we did for our workers and our community. Environmental practices is something that we've obviously been a long time evangelist for, I guess you could say. Some of those things, which are hard to do in a remote workforce, is tracking some of the carbon emissions and, the scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions that we produce. But we try to be diligent about that in our office spaces. We have an office located in Grand Rapids and one in Omaha now. So we try to make sure we are tracking like our waste. We're separating out what is recyclable, what is compost, what is just straight to the dump, and we're measuring that and tracking it over time so that we can help reduce that. We also have had a lot of additions to our Catalyst office in Grand Rapids that have made it more energy efficient. That office has kind of been our guinea pig for anything that we like to tell our clients that they should do. We try to do it at our office first to make sure that it's sustainable and it works. And it helps us to achieve our certifications, like LEED. We have a triple platinum certification at that office in Grand Rapids for LEED, and we also have our HSR certification, as well as a couple more I can't list off the top of my head. They're all listed on our website. So we have lots of ways that the B Impact Assessment has helped us figure out what areas we need to focus on, and then find tools to make that happen that we can then practice and then pass that on to our clients.
That's incredible work, Caitlyn. It seems that you've actually been excelling in keeping up with your goals through the BM impact assessment, which we really do appreciate that is a helpful measurement tool to ensure that you're hitting those. It's exciting too, just to notice that, through civic engagement, you've really helped to push your employees to your team members, to get involved in the communities that they live in through volunteering. I think that's a great way to engage, but also to really learn and know what is actually going on in your communities and what support they may need right now. In terms of not governance, but workers, knowing more too which I guess ties into governance, knowing that you are really utilizing the care economy in that way, how can we better care for our team members through childcare, elder care? Because we know that at some point, majority of us are all impacted by care. We may need to offer that, or may need to even have that ourselves. I really love to see that you've ensured that, one, you've really gotten rid of the gender norm of, being able to provide maternal versus paternal care. You're like, no, we're just going to make sure that it's flat. This is what we can offer to each person for care, but also to being able to really build in rest time. I think that's really important. That break that you mentioned between Christmas to New Year's, that is a great way to really one, I think, support your team members, but also two, to ensure that there's a healthy work-life balance without necessarily even needing to use their PTO. Those models really strengthen companies, in my opinion. Just even seeing it through people first economy, majority of us come back from our breaks feeling refreshed and excited to get back to work, which I can imagine that that's exactly how your team must feel as well.
Yeah, and we've noticed kind of a conundrum that we have found is that some people will get so invested in their work and they'll say, oh, I won't use my PTO, I'll save it for later because I'm too busy right now. By like making it a point to say, no, we're closed. Like there's no work to go on, there's nothing for you to do, and if you don't use this time, you're just going to lose it. It's not like you can bank it for later. It kind of forces people to rest, which is sometimes needed for some of our employees to say, hey, you deserve a break too. It doesn't matter how busy your plate is. And so that has been beneficial over the last couple of years to kind of reinforce that rest is important and a value in our workplace as well.
I agree. Rest, recover, come back, ready to go. That's exactly how I feel healthy businesses can survive, because you're taking care of your team members, but also then the business thrives under that. It's really important. I noticed too that you did discuss a little bit more about your environmental practices and a little bit more about how through being LEED certified, but also just by ensuring that you're practicing those environmental and / sustainable initiatives through, reducing your waste,